With everything going on in the 2020 NHL offseason, one of the moves that was forgotten was the Ottawa Senators getting what would hopefully be the answer and lead them at least close to the playoffs. That being when they acquired Matt Murray from the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Sens sent Jonathan Gruden and a second-round pick to the Penguins in exchange for Murray in early October. Today, I will be discussing the Ottawa Senators and why Matt Murray isn't the answer in Canada's capital. After the trade, Murray signed an extension with the Senators, a big one. 4 years, $25 million, with an annual average value of $6.25 million. So he's going to be making that every single year for the next 4 years, unless he's traded. And honestly, he's just dead cap at this point for the Senators. Let's flash back to the start of Matt Murray's career and what he may have done to deserve this money. In 2012, he was the 83rd overall selection by the Penguins. Murray made his debut in the 15-16 season, but sat behind Marc-Andre Fleury until eventually giving us one of the most memorable cup runs ever, leading the Pens to a title. He led the Penguins to another championship shortly after. After Fleury was taken by the Golden Knights in the expansion draft, Murray was made the full-time starter in the Steel City. He wasn't the same. Fleury happened to lead the Golden Knights to the Stanley Cup Finals that year. Murray ended up getting replaced by Tristan Jarry just a few years later for the majority of the 2019-20 season. But he played all but one game in the bubble for the Penguins against Montreal. Pittsburgh lost that series in 4 games. The Penguins have consistently had solid goaltending, but they throw it away for the new and shiny player. First, Flower for Murray, now Murray for Jarry. I do think they made the right decision to keep Jarry over Murray, however, but with so many teams having a lack of goaltending over the past decade, it is sad to see the mismanagement in Pittsburgh. So far in Ottawa, he hasn't been as advertised. It's been his worst year so far. He's currently 60th in goals against average out of 62. The 2 goalies behind him have only started 1 to 3 games, compared to Murray's 7. Matt's goals against average at the time of this recording is 4.39, worst among starting goalies besides Mikko Koskinen. The hope was Murray would be able to steal a couple games for Ottawa, and he's only played well in maybe 2. But you can't blame Murray completely for the Sens, as they have an extremely weak defense, and nothing like Matt has ever played behind in his career. Chabot and Sanderson are the main parts going forward for Ottawa. Murray is probably going to be playing his best hockey out of his contract this year for the next 4 years. But even now, he has allowed over 25 goals in just 7 games. Second most among starters, but unlike Mikko Koskinen, who ranks last in that, Murray has had a lot of rest. Murray just frankly hasn't fit. The Sens have a good offense and a solid future, but Matt Murray won't have a role in that. I hate to judge a player this early, and I hope he proves me wrong later in the season. But he hasn't lived up to the hype so far. I still believe the Sens should have and could have traded out of the top 5 and drafted Yaroslav Askarov, because they won't have a chance to get their hands on a goalie like him, ever. Unless they end up in a position to select Jesper Wallstedt this upcoming draft, which he still doesn't come close to Askarov's skill level. Now, should the Sens consider moving Murray at the deadline? Maybe, but I don't think many teams would want to take on that cap hit on a goaltender. One of the teams that catches my eye would be the New Jersey Devils. The Devils could use another goalie to back up Blackwood, and they do have the cap room, but I don't see anyone taking the gamble. Murray would likely only draw a pick or a prospect. Now that he's signed for the amount that he is, I doubt both would be an option. A good fit for Murray might be Edmonton, but they don't have nearly enough cap space to bring in Matt Murray. I was really hoping Murray would work out in Ottawa, but he hasn't been the answer so far. I'd say try to get in a position for Wallstedt and have him eventually come up. Marcus Hoberg has shown he can provide a solid option for Ottawa instead of Matt Murray. Everyone really saw that Murray wouldn't work in Pittsburgh after Fleury left. Now in Ottawa, he has less of a team around him and is the worst starting goalie statistics-wise in the NHL. Granted, he does have to face some of the best competition every night, but for $6.25 million per year, he should be able to play with the best and shut them down on a nearly nightly basis. I've always really liked Matt Murray, and I'm not trying to run him down, but he has been very inconsistent between the pipes and the definition of streaky. And on a young team like the Senators, he just didn't make sense from the start. On a team like Ottawa, they need a goalie they can rely on to carry the team some nights. When Holtby, Crawford, and Markstrom were all on the market, Murray shouldn't have been the guy that the Senators were looking at. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure that you like and subscribe. I'm sorry that this video is coming out a little later in the week. I didn't have a video planned, but after seeing that Edmonton performance with Murray getting pulled early, and it's currently 8-5 for the Oilers with about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game. So I thought that I better put this video out, so hopefully it will be out on Monday morning. That's what I am aiming for. If you enjoyed, make sure that you like and subscribe. Join the herd. I'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye.